Okay, so we're going to simplify these radicals and perfect squares. They're easier than you may believe. So I'm going to show you how to do it. Remember my thought bubbles. Always just kind of keep those thoughts in your mind. This is something you want to remember with variables. With variables, divide the exponent by the index. You know, pretty much. And I'll show you what I'm talking about in a minute. So the square root of 18, I know that 9 times 2 equals 18, and I'm putting all of that under the radical sign. So 9 times 2 is basically saying 3 times 3 times 2. I have this number twice, so I'm going to boot that 3 from under there. And my answer is going to be 3 square root of 2. Now, there's another way. There are other ways to work this problem. It could be worked like this. 18, square root of 18 is just like saying 9 times the square root of 9 times the square root of 2, which is like saying 3 times, square root of 3 times 3 times 2. You have that number the same, 3, which leaves you with square root of 2. Or when I get to some later videos, I'm going to start skipping this step right here because I'm going to keep this information on the board. So you learn your perfect squares. When I go from here to here, you'll understand what I'm doing. So I could have said, hey, I know that a perfect square at 18 is 9 times 2. Hey, the square root of 9 is 3. And it leaves me with 3 square root of 2. Okay? Several ways to work the same problem. Okay? Just according to how many steps you want to go through. Right? And if you missed that, by all means, please press pause, rewind, look at it, watch it again, okay? All right, so I'm going to the next one now. Square root of 9a to the second. I already know that 9 is like saying 3 times 3, and a squared is like saying a times a. I have 2 3s. I'm going to boot that from under the radical sign. I have 2 a's. Boot that a from under that radical sign. So that's my answer. All right. Now, notice my little thought bubble right here says with variables, divide the exponent by the index. I could have said square root of 9a is like saying 3 times 3 a squared. Hey, I already know I have 3 twice. A squared is just like saying x squared. Okay? Or divide my index. Since I don't see a number right there, that means that my index is 2. 2 divided by 2 gives me 1, which gives me 8. Okay? Either way, you want to work it is fine. And just get you used to this. I know that the square root of 9 is 3. And I know that the square root of a squared is a. Okay? Again, 3 different ways to work this. Actually, there's more, but this is how I'm choosing to work. If you get real familiar with your common perfect squares, this will become real easy, second nature. Okay? So we have a negative square root of 81 m to the 64th. Now I did this same problem in another video and I wasn't paying attention and I got the answer wrong. So I'm going to fix it. All right. Bring my negative sign down. I know that 81 is just like saying 9 times 9, m to the 64th. All right, I'm not writing now 64 m's. Not happening. To see what the square root is. Or to see how that's simplified. All right, I have 2 9s. I'm going to bring my negative sign down. I'm going to boot that 9 out because it's 2 of them. Now, remember, this little thought bubble. With variables, divide the exponent by the index. This is my exponent. So I have m divided by the index. Since I don't see a number, the number is automatically 2. When you don't see a number, the number is automatically 2 for your index. So 64 divided by 2 is 32. So my answer is negative 9m to the 32nd. Oops, yeah. Negative 9m to the 32nd. Okay? Guys, I know I just put 64 divided by 2 is 3. I forgot to put my 2. Okay. I've been recording all day, so I'm getting a little tired. So please forgive me for any mistakes that I may be making. Alright, we're going to do this next one. Square root of 49, a to the 4th, b to the 2nd. I know that 49 is like saying 7 times 7, a to the 4th, b to the 2nd. I'm going to boot that 7 out because it's 2 of them. 2 to the 4th. What's 4 divided by 2? My index is going to be 2. What's b divided by b2 divided by 2? 2 goes into 2 one time. So my answer is going to be 8 squared b. Okay? Because with your exponents, you just divide those by 2. Okay? I'm just showing, I just wrote that down so you'll see. You just divide it by 2. That's all you're doing. That's how we came up with those numbers. Okay? And, you know, just for further explanation, let me just show you how I did that. Because these are not big numbers. A, B, B, A, B. I have a 7. Pull that out. I have 2 A's right here, so that's A. And then I have another 2 A's, so it's really 2 A's. So how about A squared, and then we only have 2 B's, B. Does that make sense? I hope that makes a little bit more sense. If it doesn't, I sincerely apologize. All right, we're going to the next one. Square root of x to the 3rd. All I have to do is ask myself, how many times can 2 go into 3? It can only go in there one time. So my answer would be x squared. X square root of x. Let me prove it another way. Square root of x to the 3rd is like saying x times x times x. How many x's? I have 2 x's right there. And I have 1 left over. That's my answer. Okay, last but not least, I have the square root of 49x to the 11th. Okay, 49 is just like me saying 7 times 7. And then I have x to the 11th. Okay, I have 2 7s. I'm going to boot that 7 out. How many times can 2 go into 11? 5 times. So it'll be 11x to the 5th square root 11. Square root x, because 5 times 2 is 10, but we have 11, so we just have 1 left over. Okay? All right, and I'll show you another way just so we won't be confused, which is 7 times 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. All right. Do my little multiplication times. 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. All right, I have 2 groups of 7. So I boot that 7 out. I have a group of x's. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. X to the 5th. And then I have 1 x left over. My answer still came out the same. If you get confused, you can write all this out. Okay? But it's going to be very time consuming for those larger numbers. But I have a feeling that there are those that are watching and the light bulb has just came on. You thought you were not good at exponents and radicals and things of that nature, and you just discovered, hey, I understand this. Wonderful. Good for you. Great job. I'm glad that you're getting it. Okay, we have these problems to work. I know I keep numbering them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Excuse that. I'm gonna work the problems. Okay, so we have the square root of 16 c to the second d to the second. I know that the square root, or I know that 16 is just like saying 4 times 4. C to the second, D to the second. I could. I'm only doing this because these are small numbers. Let me do this and then you'll see how I'm coming up with this answer. All right, so it's 2 of those, 2 of those, 2 of those. So since it's 2 4s, I'm booting the 4 from under the radical sign. It's 2 C's. I'm booting that. It's 2 D's. I'm booting that. That is my answer. Now, I could have did it a quicker, shorter way and could have said that 4 to 16 c to the second d to the second, excuse me, is the same as saying 4, I'm booting it from under the radical sign, c divided by 2 is c. C to the second divided by 2 is C. D to the second divided by 2 is D. Because 2 goes into that once, it goes into that once. I'm only showing those things because in a little bit things are going to speed up and I'm not going to have time to go through that review. But either way, you will come up with the right answer, okay? And again, once you get those perfect, those common perfect squares memorized, you will be able to say, oh, the square root of 16 is 4. Square root of, 2 divided by 2 will give me C. D divided by, or 2D divided by 2 will give me D. You'll be able to go from here to here. But until then, it's okay to go step by step. And by all means, if you think you can work some of these problems ahead of me, please do. I believe in you. Okay, so now we have 2 square root of 27 x to the 5th y. All right. This is something that you need to remember about radicals. Whatever this number is right here, or whatever that sign is or whatever, Whatever you boot from under here, you have to multiply by that, okay? So, here we go. 2 square root of 27x to the 5th. Well, I know that 9 and 3 make 27, and this is like saying x to the 5th, or x times x times y. The only reason I wrote that out is because I'm showing the steps and because that's a small number. Again, later on, I won't be writing these out, okay? So, I know that 9 is a perfect square. It's a perfect square root. Forgot my multiplication sign. With 3. So, so 9 is like saying 3 times 3. We already had that 3. Write out all these x's. And don't forget your y. Okay? So now, go and underline every number that has 2. Or everything that's 2 of something. Alright. So, we have 2 3s, 2 x's, 2 x's right there. So, this is like saying 2 times, we have 2 3s right there, times 3, because we're booting that 3 from under there. We have 2 x's right there. Then we have another 2 x's, so you have that 2 times. So that's squared. And then you have this remaining, 3 and y. So that's staying under that thing. And that's our answer. Oops, excuse me. So now, what's 2 times 3x squared? 2 times 3 is 6x squared, square root of 3y. That is our answer. Okay, next one. Oh, excuse me, I left off of x. My bad, y'all. Look. You know what? So it might do us good to circle. Those are everything that's left underneath. Okay? Just be careful about little things like that because that can mess up the whole problem. But that's the answer. Now, we can do it another way. I'm showing 2 different ways. I may not show them on all problems, but right now while I'm feeling it, I'm doing it. 2 square root 27x to the 5th y. Okay? I know that 27 is really 9 times 3 x to the 5th y. Okay? Alright? I know that the square root of 9 is really 3. So I have 2 times 3. Square root of 9 is 3. And then I know that uh, 5 divided by 2 is 2. And it leaves an x and then y. So what I have left is 3xy. My answer is 6x squared square root of 3xy. That's just kind of me skipping some steps. I'm just showing you what you're going to be able to do later on, okay? But if you want to start trying to skip those steps, by all means, do that. Practice, 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 okay? But right now, I'm trying to show every step so there's no confusion. Okay? We're going to the next one. Square root of 15x to the 8b. All right. Does 15 have a perfect square? It does not. So, Let me prove it. 15 would be like saying 5 times 3. Neither one of those are perfect squares. All right, 8xb. I'm just taking my time and writing it out step by step. Honestly, I could have said what is, because when we don't have a number right there, the index is automatically 2. I could say what's 8 divided by 2 right here and be done. But I'm not. I'm gonna take my time and write it out. All right, times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then we have that B right there. Let me put my multiplication signs. Okay, so that's really what all that is saying. Okay, that's just 15. So I'm just gonna go underline the things that have 2 of something. So what I have left is, okay, I have x squared right there. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have that 4 times. All right. All the rest of this stuff, this and this is left under there. 5 times 3 is 15. And we have that B left over. That is our absolute answer. I could have just said, oh, there's no square root to 15. X to the 8 divided by 2 gives me 4. And the B stays there. And I could have came up with the answer just like that. Okay? Let's do the next one. Square root of 50, a to the third. All right. I know that 50 has a perfect square of 25 times 2, a to the third. Okay? So, with that said, we're going to go and underline oh goodness. We're going to go and underline everything that has, oh, excuse me. So, I'm skipping a step. So now let's break 25 down. 25 is just like saying 5 times 5 times 2 times A times A times A. Now we can go and underline everything that repeats. Or everything that's in doubles. The 5s are in doubles. The A's are double. I have this and this left under there. So that's going to stay under there. So since the 5's double, I'm going to take this 5 out. Since the A's double, I'm going to take that A. What do I have left? 2A. So my answer is 5A square root of 2A. Okay? I'm sure you all are beginning to get it. All right, we have another problem.